Hello and welcome. This is Fortreal TV, and my name is Raymond E. Joma, and I'm a real estate entrepreneur as well as a property lawyer here in Nigeria. Today, we're going to be talking about 7 types of properties or lands you should never, ever buy. 7 types of properties or lands you should never, ever buy. This is a very important subject matter, and at Fortreal Rei Ltd and the Fortreal Brand entirely, we are concerned about your finance. If you check at the top of this YouTube channel, you will discover that 3 words are key for us: solutions, impact, and sustainability. We are concerned about everything about your finance, your real estate investment, and to ensure that they are safe, smart, profitable, and sustainable. So basically, we're going to be discussing with you these 7 types of properties. Number one, never ever buy a property that is still a subject matter of dispute. If the matter is still in court, you shouldn't buy such a property, except you just intentionally want to buy a property. That is the only occasion where you should buy a property. Legal matter for that is lit pending. If the matter is still in court, for some persons, the matter ends at the High Court. And remember that there are hierarchies of court in Nigeria. All right, so sometimes it starts at the customary court, it goes to the High Court, it goes to the Court of Appeal, and then it ends at the Supreme Court. All right, so even though the matter starts at the High Court and the person you want to buy from wins at the Court of Appeal level, the High Court level, right? It's also not a safe time to buy until you are sure that the subject matter is mutually ended. If it has not been mutually concluded by both parties and all parties have put their arms to rest, then it is not safe to buy. The only time it is safe to buy a property that was a subject matter of dispute is when it becomes a was, and at that point it probably would have gotten to the Supreme Court, where it has come to finality. It means that at that point it is concluded, because the Supreme Court is the apex court in Nigeria, and once it gives a decision, it is permanent unless it revises itself. But that is very rare it very rare happens, right? So the safest time to buy a property that is a subject matter of dispute, it is when it is no longer a subject matter of dispute. And there are 2 occasions that could happen. Number one, when both parties put their arms to rest and they are done. It may be at the High Court level, they are done. All parties, okay, we're done. We give up. That is one time to do that. The second time is when it has gotten to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court has given its final decision. Apart from that, if you are buying, you are simply buying a court case, because the matter apparently is still in court and then there's an order not to buy. So if you are buying, you are simply buying a problem, and whoever wins the matter at the end of the day, no matter what you build on it, is going to become the owner of what you built on it, because he who owns a land owns what is on. So that's the first thing first type of property you should never ever buy. Number 2, never buy any family property from an individual. Generally, family properties have some level of restrictions or prohibitions on them because they are inalienable. All right, and when you buy such properties, the only condition that you must satisfy is that you buy it from the head of the family, alongside what I personally do as a lawyer is I ensure that the head of the family is involved, and then 2, 3, 4 other principal members of the family are carried along, and they are signatories to that particular transfer of title to my client. All right, so one thing you must pay attention to: if you are buying a family property, first make sure that particular property is alienable, it can be sold. And secondly, ensure that you carry members of the family, the principal members of the family, alongside the head of the family. If you buy from only the principal member of the family, that is a problem. It's important that you buy, because there are 2 types. One is void or ab initio, the other one is voidable, right? So it's important. What I need you to do is never ever buy, or what I need you to get rather is never ever buy a property, a family property, from an individual. That is a never ever go area. All right, and basically what that helps you to do is to avoid issues. All right, if you want to do anything, basic real estate transactions with a family, then you must ensure that you carry a lawyer alongside that knows the subject matter very well. All right. Number 3, never ever buy a property that was given by way of a will, or that was gotten by way of a will without the person having a grant of probate and subsequently an assent. it's important that you don't, because most of the times you might end up buying a family dispute, because some wills in Nigeria are disputed, and so you must ensure that first the will is not such that it's being disputed. Secondly, you must also make sure that the probate has been granted in respect to that will, and subsequently there is an assent, especially with respect to some locations, that there is an assent that transfers title from the executors to the beneficiaries of that particular will. It's only at that point that somebody, a beneficiary, can safely and confidently transfer title to you as the buyer. So you should ensure that you never ever buy a property that simply is being sold on the basis of the fact that it was, or there was a will involved, or the person is a beneficiary in that particular will. And number four, never ever buy a property that is an igiobe. This is specifically to people who buy properties in Benin, and there are some other applications in some other regions in Nigeria. So, for instance, um, by way of a custom, or the custom where you are, or where you are native of, there are some properties that the owner, the owner of the property lived and died and was buried. For such properties, they can't be sold except by the person who is the designated owner of that property. For some, it's the wife that they give it to. For some others, it's the first son that they give it to. Alright, for some other customs, it is the person that the man intentionally gives that property to by way of custom. For some others, the customs, the owner of that property cannot give it to any other person. It must be the right of the first son. So, for instance, for a place like Benin, it's called the Diobe, right? And for such properties, you don't just go ahead and buy them. It's important. It's important that you buy from the right person. That is, if for such families they even have the prerogative to sell such properties. I've done alongside my former boss. I've done certain family documents that we designated as unsellable, as inalienable. It can never be sold, no matter what happens. All right, so you have to be careful. You have to be thorough with your physical and customary investigation when you are buying such property. But the main thing I need you to get from this particular point is never ever buy a property that you know that it has some customary attachment to them. All right, and the only way you can do that is after you are satisfied with the customary and physical investigation that you carry out in respect of such property. And number five, never ever buy a community property, a communal land, from people who are not designated authorities or custodians of those properties. And generally, most of the time, people who are designated authorities or custodians of those properties are people who are the leaders of that community at that particular point. So, for instance, the king of the community, the secretary, the elders. I know of a community in the east where there are about 42 persons that must sign before you buy any property from the community. So there are different communities with their different practices. But importantly, for every community, there are people who are custodians and who are designated authorities that sell communal land. So you must make sure that you buy from those people, except you want to get into issues. All right. And the sixth type of property that you should never ever buy is the type of property that there is no visible owner and there is no clear authority from the seller to you to buy that property. So, for instance, a lot of persons who live abroad, who live in the diaspora, have properties back here in Nigeria. And some persons, for whatever reasons, their brothers, their relations, whoever, decide to sell their properties without their knowledge. So, it's important that when you are buying such property, that the owner appears, or for some reasons is not available within your physical location. It's important that you're able to establish a connection between the person who is claiming to be selling the property and the person who is the original owner, as well as establish a written documentary evidence as a way of authority, authorizing the person who is buying, the person who is selling to the person who is buying. And importantly, I always advise that you bring in either a letter of authority or, importantly, a power of attorney authorizing that person to sell on your behalf. So your lawyer has to do a good job in carrying out such investigation to be sure that there is established connection between the person that is selling and your client that is buying. And the last one, which is number 7 type of property, or the 7th type of property that you should never buy. A property that there is no established root of title, established good root of title, or a property that does not have good proof of ownership. There is need at every point that to establish a good root of title through the researcher, especially before you go ahead to buy any property. So if for any reason the person you are trying to buy property from cannot clearly establish good root of title or proof of ownership, then you should never find your way close to buy such property. This is basically what we have for you today at Fortreal TV. Remember, my name is Raymond Ejoma, and I'm a real estate entrepreneur as well as a property lawyer here in Nigeria. And of course, if you enjoyed what you just watched, to like the video, share this with your friend and family, and those that you do not like very much. And also do it to subscribe. That is if you have not subscribed. Do it to stay in touch and expect more from the Fortreal TV. Bye bye.